timing it.
Yes.
Vinny, obviously there was a lot of positives coming out of the weekend, and we speak about positive records. So the joint fastest goal in Burnley's history, first time hit 5 in the Premier League. So how different a feeling is it to be talking in those terms rather than some of what's gone before?
No, it just shows how quickly these things can go. 1 minute you're talking about negative records, and then all of a sudden, out of nothing, you've got this, and but the same way we dealt with the other side of it, I think we just move on to the next game now. It's done, but the lads deserved the performance and the result, and they've got to believe that they can do it again.
Do you have to manage the mood at all? Because I know you often say don't get too low in defeat, but don't get too high in victory as well.
No, I think the lads know. They know. I think they know it's 3 points. That's what it is in the end. It's valuable, of course, but we get an opportunity again on Tuesday to try and continue.
At this point, does it feel like a potential turning point in the season for you?
I just feel we've put in a lot of good performances recently. It's we've probably not had what we probably thought we deserved, but as well, even that, it's life. You don't always get what you deserve, and at least not immediately, and we're prepared to work for it. So mentally, we're strong enough to deal with whatever comes at us.
Vinny, also just on the flip side of that, obviously a lot of happiness at getting the result at the weekend, but on the flip side of that, you see that Paul Heckingbottom looks like he's set to lose his job at Sheffield United. I mean, you obviously know when you get into the job the kind of risks that come along with it, but how does it feel when you're on a different side to what Paul's facing at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, every club has its own way of dealing with moments like this. I just know that 3-4 months ago he was one of the best managers in the league where I was, and I just met him at an award dinner where he was picking up awards for that as well. So not that much could have changed in 4 or 5 months. I just think it's if you look at the level of this league, I think it's always important to keep putting into context. And then, like I say, every club will have its own way of dealing with things. But like I said, the whole of last season, I think all that stuck with me is the amount of praise he was getting for the work he was doing. But this is how it goes. People seem to accept it in football. Personally, I don't. It's not because it's done everywhere that it should be done this way. But it is what it is.
I suppose as well, you can never take it for granted, but it seems that you've got a good deal of support from the owners here. Can you put into context the kind of support that you've had from them?
I just think from my side, I've mentioned it before, and it's nothing new. You're going to hear the same thing as what I said when we were just on the back of the defeats. It's a very calm club, very calm. I think we focus a lot on performance, on improving the players that we have, the team that we have. There's communication every day about all sorts of things, but it's never political. It's never anything other than football. And it's an environment, I believe, that is there for everyone to, first of all, have no excuse in as well, because you do get to do your job in a very good environment, but the players as well. So look, I know it can be different elsewhere, but I hope that at the end of all of this, it will be a positive journey for Burnley Football Club, and it'll be one of the things that will make the club stand out once again, because it's, like I said, it's been 141 years of history, and I think there's been 28 managers at this club, or maybe even less. It's also part of the DNA.
Just in terms of building on the weekend then as well, what kind of a test do you feel you're facing against Wolves?
No, when you analyze those teams, obviously you're always confronted with the depth and quality of those squads. You got a £45 million striker up front there, who's someone that I think is really good. They've got just quality, but it's no different for us than every game we face in this league. And we've been good in many. We've not always had the result, but we've been good in many, and we have to continue. On trying to follow that path and believe that we're going to get results.
Just squad-wise, I take it no new injuries. You going to be getting anyone back this week?
No, we have Josh Cullen at the moment, who's out. He was out of the squad last game. He's not going to be available. And then the other one is Jordan Bayer, obviously with the suspension.
Vinny, as positive it was to get the 5 goals and the win, obviously for you as a former defender, is it also a massive plus to get a clean sheet as well? Yeah,
I think for the team as a whole, but I can imagine that the defenders and the goalkeeper will have taken a little bit more pride in achieving so. But I think that the little milestones that you achieve along the way, you never know when they come, and like it's the hardest league to achieve them. All I hope is that they and they've shown in recent weeks. I mean, what happened against West Ham and even Palace to some extent, and the good performance defensively against Arsenal. they've been good in many ways. It's just you have to be good in every moment in this league, and hopefully they can continue that. They can continue on that progress.
And in terms of going again very, very quickly, is that a pleasing factor? Having taken that confidence very, very quickly into the next game, you're happy to be going again so quickly? Yeah,
I'm happy to go anytime, as many times as it takes. The more games, the better for us. So, I do believe in our squad as well. As in, like, I know we're not a Premier League team yet, because still a lot of work to be done to earn it, but I have a lot of faith in and trust in the squad that we have in terms of being able to get through moments as well with a lot of games, and a lot of these guys will improve as the season goes on. So it's a 3-week game, and I'm looking forward to see how these guys cope with it as well.
And you talked about the mentality. You said after the West Ham that this team this whole squad has a very good idea of being able to press the reset button before the start of every game. Yeah. How do you actually go about doing that? How difficult is it to try and push all the negatives from previous games out and start with effectively a fresh mindset for each game?
I said to the guys, and it gives you a little bit of an insight of what lives in the dressing room, but I did say to the guys that before the game, that I felt that they were going to be celebrating on the day, and I felt that they were going to be celebrating their effort. They were going to be celebrating the mental strength, their determination in tough times. I didn't know before the game, but I told them that, and then for me, the only thing I wanted to say after the game is you can't take for granted the amount of pressure there is on such a game for us, because it's probably the one of 2 games where people will say you may be a little bit favourite here. Every other game, we're really not favourites, So and on top of that, with the lack of winning and results, to start the game like they did, to finish the game like they did, it's a lot of pressure. So what I want to say is that the mindset within the club to press the reset button and to continue the hard work is incredible. It's really there's things where there's a big gap between us and Premier League teams still, but there's aspects of the club where I think we're part of the elite in terms of mindset, in terms of what people are doing to deliver their job every day, players and staff alike. It doesn't show until you get the results, but I've been at a top club. I can benchmark it against it, and that's something really special here that lives here every day.
Just picking up on that, going into the match potentially as favourites on Saturday, there was a great sense of calmness, I thought, about your team. they could have been forgiven for being a bit edgy, a bit nervous, but that wasn't the case, was it?
Yeah, look, I've seen it go both ways, right? So I'm not going to be here saying that I was 100% sure that this is how it was going to play out. But you certainly try and prepare as well as you can to try and take away a little bit of that edge, if you know what I mean, and make it about the opportunities rather than the consequences, you know. But what I like for the group is it's an experience that you go through as a group, and once you've done it once, and there's going to be plenty more moments like this season where it's going to be on a knife edge, then you can go back to these moments and say, well, we've gone through it before, do it again, and the consistency of getting through these moments.
You mentioned the clean sheet for your goalkeeper, Vincent. Right at the end of the match on Saturday, I think Vitinho got the ball out for a goal kick, and there was a little bit of a mini celebration that it was a goal kick.
Yeah. With
your team up 5-0 up, it clearly meant a lot to the outfield players that the goalkeeper got a clean sheet on Saturday.
Yeah, and you know, tomorrow it's back to reality. So I think we need to. I'm going to be cautious with, but it is a little milestone, you know, and they on the day I'm sure they could appreciate it. And like I say, you're in this job ultimately to win football matches, and when you work hard every day and you're perhaps not always getting the results, and we knew it was going to be a tough season anyway, but you know, these moments they give you that extra little bit of a lift, that extra little bit of belief, and I think we're prepared as well for whatever comes next, you know, all the challenges that are ahead, and also all the celebrations that are still ahead. So the group is really focused on that, and that was just a little very small milestones that count, of course.
Can I ask you about Amdouni? He appears to have, in the last couple of games, really settled into the team and found perhaps his best form. How pleased have you been with his development in the last month or so? Yeah,
I think, you know, for him, it's been a little bit the same journey, because we don't focus on it as much with the attacking players, because sometimes the consequences are not as big, but he's been close in so many games. You know, for those who remember the ball that went against the post against United, you know, and all these moments he's had, and the hardest one of all was the goal against Forest, and he scored that one on a volley, you know. So he's been close in so many games, and I hope that to combine his defensive performance with attacking output, that gives him a template to continue, because the talent is there.
Cheers. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got to Ian at the back, PA Media.
We're definitely doing longer than I thought.
Sorry about that. Jay Rodriguez has 2 goals in the last 2 games, but I wanted to ask, we keep talking about how young this squad is. How important has his experience been?
It's everything to us. It's why I think our conversation is still about the youthfulness of our squad. I think there's still a reasonable balance in our squad when you look at Brownie, because the Brownie that was maybe in the Premier League a couple of years ago is still a couple of years older now, so he's more experienced. So you look at Brownie, Goodmanson, Jay Rodriguez, Charlie Taylor. So I do think there's a balance, but at his age to still link it with the physical output and the performance, and in a tough time to get goals. I'm not sure if he knew that at this age he'd still be scoring Premier League goals, but in terms of talent, I think people don't, because I played against the thing is, he got injured in the game right in front of me when he had this big injury at the time, and he was at Southampton, and so I remember watching him, I remember playing against him, and he was one of England's top talent in the front line. He had everything, you know. So I think some of the things people are seeing now might surprise people still to see it at his age, but he's an exceptional talent, and we're lucky to have him, and we keep him fit and happy. It helps us.
He's also a local lad, and something we make quite a lot of. How important is that, do you think?
I think, especially for a small town, it's difficult to have a lot of local lads, of course, and to have one and one that is such a good person, such a good character, and as well that can perform the way he does. I think it's very unique, and I don't think that you could have found anyone else to represent the town and the club better. He's is massive to what we do, and long may it continue.
Okay. Just one other thing, Jack Cork, is there a timetable for his return?
No, at the moment I think it was a calf injury, so with these you have to be a little bit careful and day by day.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Joe, do you want one before we move on?
You mentioned earlier you've spent a lot of your career at the top of the table. How would you compare the pressures being at the top of the table compared to now being a bit further down?
Very similar. Because when you're at the top, I'd say we have less negative pressure when you're at the bottom, because most games the teams that we are facing are favorites, so you go to a certain place and you can feel that the teams that you play against, they expect to get result against you, and whenever the game doesn't quite go like they expect it to go, you actually feel you can build some momentum in the game. When you're one of the top teams, you've of course got a lot of good players, but there's a little bit of negative pressure at times where if you go certain place, away game, they're desperate to get a result against you, and you've got to be at your best all the time. So in terms of pressure, it's maybe still more pressure at the top, I think. But in terms of the demand on you to perform and the demand on you to be at your best every time, it's very similar, because we can't afford to go into the game when we're not at our best. It just wouldn't work.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, we'll move to the embargo section.